Happy spring from Diane Kochilas. It's time for another episode from a cookbook. Our Google random number generator was 153 today, and that is this cookbook, Food and Wine of Greece, by Diane Kochilas. It's a great book that I've had in my collection for a long time. I think it was written in the 90s. Really great recipes, authentic things. She spent years and years traveling in Greece and really trying to understand the food, and it writes just like a story in some cases that tells the stories behind all the food, which is really fun to read as well. But today I wanted to make an appetizer, so we're going to make something called Htipiti. It's a pungent feta cheese spread, and it goes great on some crusty bread. I don't have quite all the ingredients in the recipe, so we'll walk through some of that. And I believe, as I'm reading the recipe and I've made it, it is a lot spicier than we like in our household. So we're going to make a few adaptations, and I'll talk about those as we go. Let's walk through the ingredients that are called for in the recipe. In her book, Diane calls for 3 different kinds of peppers. The first one is an Italian green pepper. The second one is a pickled green pepper. And the third one is 2 dried red chili peppers. So how are we going to make that happen? The green pepper, I'm not sure an Italian green pepper. I think it's just a regular green pepper from the grocery store. But I know Shelly doesn't like to eat those, so we're going to skip that. But she calls for 1 pickled pepper, and I'm actually going to use 3, so we'll make up for a little bit of that pungency in that pepper there. And then the crushed red pepper, I'm simply just going to use a little bit of dried crushed red pepper to make that easier. Feta, of course, is the star for this dish. This is Athenos brand feta. You can get it in the grocery store easily. We've got olive oil. This is where you want to use the nice stuff, extra virgin olive oil. We're going to have some fresh lemon juice. I've got oregano, and it also calls for just a little bit of cracked red pepper. Cracked black pepper. We've got the red pepper here. Okay, we've got our ingredients prepped and ready to go. The feta I bought already crumbled, which is easy. But if you happen to have a chunk of feta, that's fine. You can just break it up a little bit. In the original recipe, Diane says to put everything in a bowl and start mashing it with a potato masher. Well, you know what? I'm going to use my food processor because it just makes it so much more simple and quick. So she wanted the pepperoncinis finely chopped. Well, I chopped them just into some little chunks because the food processor will take care of the rest of that work. We've got the olive oil, oregano. Hers calls for cracked black pepper. There's about 1/4 teaspoon here. And I did about 1/4 teaspoon of crushed red pepper too. It's probably not equal at all to the 2 dried chilies that she put in her original recipe, but neither Shelly and I can take it super spicy. And then it called for juice of half a lemon, so that's about 2 teaspoons. We'll see how that goes, and if we need a little bit more lemon as we go, we might want to juice the other half. All right, let's put it all together. So like I said, her recipe said to put it in a bowl and start mashing it with a potato masher. And you could do that, but this is much easier. So I've got my bowl here fitted with the blade. Put the cheese in there. And she wants everything in but the lemon juice. So now we put the lid on, turn it on, and slowly add the lemon juice once this kind of all gets to speed. I'm gonna stop, scrape down the sides a little bit. It's already smelling great. You can smell the olive oil in there, the oregano. Here's what it looks like right about now. It's a little dry, and I think we'll probably want to add a little bit more lemon, but we'll let it go for one more time and we'll taste it. So let's give it a taste. I can really taste the oregano. And there's just a bit of tanginess from both the feta and the pepperoncini, but it needs more lemon. So I'm going to juice that other lemon and bring it back and put it in here. Okay, I juiced the other half of that lemon, and we're going to add it in. That gave it just enough to get just a little bit more creamy, which is beautiful. And now you can taste the lemon too. Oh, it's wonderful. It's gonna be great on that crusty bread. So then I just like to just scrape it all out of here. You can see how nice and thick it is, full of flavor. In Diane's book, she says to put it in the fridge for about an hour and just so that flavors all come together. And I think that's a really great idea. So we're gonna put this all together, put it in the fridge, and I'll be back with you to share some bread. All right, the Htipiti's been in the fridge for about an hour, letting those flavors just meld all together. That's a great idea if you have time to do it. If you don't, it'll eat wonderfully, but it'll eat even better after an hour. So our inspiration, food and wine of Greece. Thank you to Ms. Kochilas for that. This cookbook is so great, even though it's decades old. It's got wonderful, authentic recipes, lots of fun to try in there. Her suggestion is to serve this just with some simple olives and probably spread it on some bread. I actually have some homemade olive bread that I made yesterday, so I'm going to use that instead. If you wanted to, my idea is to put just a little bit more olive oil over the top of it and just really let that olive oil shine, flavor come through. Best with just a glass of red wine, a little light lunch, and you're transported to the Greek Isles, even though it's sort of a dreary spring day here in the Pacific Northwest. So thanks for joining us for another episode from a cookbook here at Diane Kochilas. Cheers.